and Town & Country Supermarkets in Hoisington.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
And that's my favorite days when I don't even know who had a good day until you check the box score. It just seems like everybody's up there battling for their at-bats, and that's how this team's been a lot. You don't even know who the standout is.
Very happy. All the practice that we've had in the past years, because most of the freshmen on varsity we've played forever together.
We're winning a lot more games than we ever did last year, and it's just a big comeback to finally show, as an upperclassman, to show that we did deserve some of those wins, even if we didn't get those wins last year. And with the underclassmen, it was a lot of help.
And now the 0-2 and a little bleeder into left. That's a base hit, and there's a run. 1-0 Diamondbacks. He split the bat candy. Half of it ends out at short, the other half right next to the plate. But enough to get Rivera home for third and give Gallen to the D-backs a 1-0 lead.
He's got 4 or 5 pitches. I'm not exactly sure how they all grade out, but he locates the heck out of them.
You know what? We've seen guys not as big as him, or maybe just a little bit bigger than him, do really well. Again, it's going to have to be the right organization. I've watched this kid play. I watched him on film, watched him play in person. He's a great kid.
They smoked us last year, so I knew they had a good team. A big reason I'm here, I got to mention, is Nathaniel Hackett, who's here. Hack and I became really close friends for 3 years in Green Bay. I believe in him.
In traffic, spins it back, gets to the paint, goes up and lays it up and in with 22.4 to go. Golden State leads by 7 in Sacramento. Eberle near circle, throws it in front. Kirchie scores! Welcome to the National, Ty Kirchie. His first NHL goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 2-1 Seattle.
And welcome to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM, the talk of the town. Yes, indeed, it is the Thursday show, one day closer to the weekend. Steve Webster with you. Joined on the program as always, or as most of the time, is Mike Hesher, Mike Corson, and Aaron Clark, all in studio today.
Hi.
Hi.
I was waiting for our Mike Hesher to lead us off there, but he...
Go ahead, Mike.
Goodbye. Well, I always throw you guys off, so I got to keep up I got to keep that up.
You got such a snazzy shirt on, Dave. You gotta let you have your time in the sun.
My faded pink shirt.
I'm a big fan. I was gonna ask you where you got it. I think it's a good look.
Well, thank you, but it's about 30 years old.
Hey, you can still fit it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
You didn't take that Goodwill sticker off the
shoulder.
I'm
sorry about that one. DAV.
That's the brand.
Okay. Top notch. Okay, on the show today, I get to dig deep into track and field. I mean, deep into track and field with KVGB track insider Mike Corson. You've got some numbers here. I'm going to get. You've looked at this, so I'm looking forward to the conversation coming up in the next segment.
Hey, you know you're in trouble when you spend 90 minutes on a 6-minute segment. But once I start looking at numbers, I lose time.
We'll also be talking with or on the prowl with Mike Corson. Randy Beck's going to be on. They take on the. I was saying this morning it's going to be a glorious day. It's still over. I thought it was going to be nice and sunny and 65 and no wind and everything's still going to be a nice day. So hopefully the sun does pop out. But Randy Beck will be on to talk about Panthers. They're taking on Dodge City today in a doubleheader, 3:45 for the pregame on B104.3 The Point. And we'll also get you some pregame sound. Brett Veach talking to the media in Kansas City in advance of tonight's NFL draft. So we'll have that for you here on the program. Let's get to our sounds the past 24 hours or so. That was Brent McBride on the program yesterday, assistant coach for the Barton Baseball Cougars, handles most of the pitching, but talking about their 40-7 start, 19-5 in conference. They could wrap up the league title with a little bit of help and good performances against Hutch. They open a 4-game series against Hutchinson, the first 2 games in Hutch today, back in Great Bend on Saturday. He was talking about their balanced offense that they've had this year. I was just looking at their stats yesterday. Of players with at least 100 at bats, 7 players hitting over 300 with over 30 RBIs. 6 players have scored over 30 runs. 3 players lead the team in home runs with 5 each. So they've got strength up and down the order. That's what you certainly want. And the Cougars, with their first 2-game losing streak of the season, heading into Hutchinson today. 1 o'clock start, and then back in town on Saturday. Hutchinson, 14-10 overall, 26-22 overall.
Cougars should go in motivated, coming off their only 2-game losing streak of the season against an opponent who's maybe not having the greatest of seasons. Hopefully we see some Cougar bats get hot.
Okay, Cloud County's there. That's kind of a goofy place to play up in Concordia. But I guess they've got turf on their field. Everybody's got turf on their fields now, for the most part. Great Bend Panthers, again, looking to keep their winning streak going. 10-4 today, taking on Dodge City, coming in 3-8. So you should have a doubleheader sweep, Aaron. Just go down there and just sit down and get 2 more wins.
We're hoping for some great Panther hitting. They've been close a couple of times on some home runs. A few different Panther batters have been just maybe within 3 feet of a home run before. So I'm hoping with a little bit of luck we can get some bombs launched out of the Great Bend Sports Complex.
Are you just all about home runs? Is that it?
No, but we've seen some quality fielding. We saw last week Bradley Hopkins in the outfield goes with a diving catch to end an inning. And then even earlier in the game before that, Edwin Chavez actually made a play in the infield at second base. So we've seen some quality fielding. They've just been so close on a couple homers this year that I know the kids want it because they're so close. And I'll be honest, I want to call one. I want to be on the call when they get one.
And I'll say Great Bend's now fighting for a home regional spot. Got the spot at the moment, so get out and support the Panthers.
They're in a tight race with Andover Central. I believe Central actually has the same record as them, but Great Bend does currently hold the 4th regional spot and 1 through 4 host. So could be hosting some regional baseball.
That would be great. The Great Bend Lady Panthers taking their 7-7 record on the road this afternoon. They'll play in Garden City, a team that beat them Tuesday 10-3. That's the first game of what is a Western Athletic Conference series, so they'll go back to Garden to play 2 today. On the show yesterday, Mike Corson talking with Catherine Mazook. Appreciate you lining that up, because my neighbor, man, he's.
I wondered what you were talking about. I've heard about the walking down the street, but I didn't know about the yard mowing.
mows yards, mows them straight too. She's also hit a ball out of the ballpark, and she was talking about the rest of the talented freshman group being able to step forward and do it on the varsity stage this year. And also Lauren Davis says she appreciates the support from the younger folks. Lauren's a junior catcher, and talking about it's good to have a lot of good athletes on that team. 4 o'clock start this afternoon in Garden City. Another goose egg put up yesterday by the Kansas City Royals. They're shut out for the 6th time this season. The call on 620 Phoenix ESPN. Evan Longoria hit an RBI single to left. Diamondbacks take a 1-0 lead on the Royals in the 4th inning. They go on to win it 2-0. Zach Gallen hasn't given up a run since April 4th. Scoreless streak moved to 28 innings. Royals manager Matt Quattrero saying he doesn't know what he was throwing up there. 4 or 5 pitches. Obviously, the players didn't either. They only had 3 hits in the game. And the Royals now head to Minnesota. They'll start a 4-game series tonight, 6 o'clock pregame here on KVGB. Zach Greinke on the mound for the Royals. Tyler Mahle going for the Minnesota Twins.
Just to be mean, I wonder if there's a way to scout in the major leagues how many pitches a pitcher has these days.
Well, now you get another one. You got a sweeper now, right?
Yeah,
you get a sweeper, you get a slider, you got a curveball. I don't know if anyone throws a screwball anymore, do they? Knuckleball.
I don't know who was throwing, but somebody hit the umpire pretty much flush, so there was a little bit of downtime, and the pitcher had a warm-up pitch, threw it on the black. So they were saying even his warm-up pitches are right on the edge.
There was a Royal last night. Who was it? Oh, Freddie Fermin. Is it Fermin?
I think so. New guy.
Knocked the cover off the ball. Completely knocked the cover off the ball.
They're calling him the natural.
That's what I call a mollywop.
But he probably was out, right?
Well, I mean, basically just nicked it. and so he hit it off the end of the bat, and then it came down and came to a spinning stop in the on-deck circle, and the cover was torn.
And the defense hurried and picked it up so the pitcher could throw it again. Thing breaks.
Knocked the cover off the ball, but it was a foul ball.
Of course. It was the Royals.
NFL draft starts tonight in Kansas City. That would be fun just to watch it. Because I know where that's at. I've been down to the World War I Memorial and Museum.
Yeah, I could care less who gets picked, but I always enjoyed like the Monday night football games come Christmas time.
That's a beautiful view from down there.
You get to we've gone up there like twice just because of the street scenes during the TV broadcast.
I'm just excited because as long as they take with the whole process, even though I've got Panther baseball tonight, I'll probably still only miss the first 2 picks. Get home by 8:30. Sure, the draft starts at 7, but as long as they take to make the picks,
thank goodness they made it 10 minutes now, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the old 15.
And it's still funny though because they have 10 minutes, and then they're all right. The pick is in, and I swear we sit there for another 20. And don't get me wrong, I'll sit there and watch the football highlights all day, but they're on a 10-minute timer, and then they wait another 15 to announce the pick. That way they can hype it up, and I'm ready to get after it after some Panther baseball.
I'm going to get that little sounder for you, and then because I know you're going to be all over this, and then I'll just play it. That sound they make when the pick is in, and then you'll look around.
Oh, you're gonna
the pick is in.
You're gonna have it queued up for the Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the draft is tonight. A lot of people think it's going to be Bryce Young. In fact, he will be the first pick. Former NFL wide receiver Dante Stallworth saying you got to take him. You can't pass on him, even though maybe he doesn't have the proper size. He's not 6'11", where he can look over his offensive lineman and downfield and throw the passes. But he's going to be the number 1 pick. So
he's definitely the cleanest quarterback prospect in this class. Just what he's put on film and what he's been able to do, regardless of the size concerns. Will Levis doesn't bring the production and the intangibles, the smartness that Bryce Young does. Not only some people have been comparing Bryce Young's game to Joe Burrow's, and I do think it translates because there's some things that it's hard to describe how he does it, but he evades pressure so effortlessly and knows what receiver to look for when he escapes from defenders. And while he is small, I think if you're trying to build around a quarterback, especially trading up, giving up what Carolina did to get that number 1 pick, Bryce Young's the only investment you can feel confident in.
He's not like a Lamar Jackson, Deshaun. I mean, he's not. He's a pass first, right?
He's a passer who can scramble, but he keeps his eyes downfield. He can extend plays, but rarely does he scramble out in front of the line of scrimmage. He's just very excellent at sensing pressure, getting away from it. The only thing that concerns me, he does have an injury history at Alabama. This last season, we saw him get rocked up, and that's against SEC defenses who are
as good as anybody in the NFL.
Exactly. They're not as good as anybody in the NFL. They're going to have their hands full, and there is a lot of talent on Carolina's roster around them. They are a lot better than what you would expect to see at the number 1 overall pick. Just the defense has players. Jeremy Chin at safety and Brian Burns on edge in particular are 2 bright young stars, but I don't know. Bryce Young, only quarterback I'd feel comfortable taking at number 1 in this draft.
Now it's like the Super Bowl now because, okay, who is this? I mean, I guess they won a Grammy award. Fallout Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were together when I was a kid, and then they broke up, and then they got back together when I was in high school.
I was going to say they won a Grammy in like 2007.
Yeah.
They were going to be up there. I actually looked at tickets, but they were a little high for my taste.
They were part of the reason I was like, yeah, I could go to the draft on Thursday.
Now, Motley Crue and Thundercats scheduled to perform on the next 2 nights.
It's a motley crew of a lineup. What can you say?
And Thundercat.
Roll old Vince Neil up there and let him.
Okay, we need to roll here. Aaron Rodgers, actually at a press conference.
Broke my heart.
What attracted you to the Jets? Well, they smoked us pretty good last year, so they must be pretty good.
I imagine seeing Sauce Gardner wearing the cheese head after the Jets beat the Packers.
Let's go out and get that quarterback that we wally mopped last year. Let's go get him. The call on 95.7 The Game, Stephen Curry making a layup in the 4th quarter. Warriors beat the Kings 123-116. That was at Sacramento. So Warriors come home. They'll have a chance to win that series. And then the call on KJR AM. Was it Ty Carday scoring a goal, assisted by Jordan Eberle and Will Borgen in the second period. The Kraken, they didn't defend the Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche 3-2. They have a 3-2 lead.
And that Game 6 is now in Seattle. It was a huge Game 5. Colorado was without their defenseman, Cale Maker, who is huge for what the Avalanche were able to do. He gives them a solid backline of defense to rely on. Now the series shifts to Seattle. Colorado has to win in what's been a pretty solid home court for the Kraken so far this year. Going to be tough for the defending Stanley Cup champions to come out of the first round.
Home ice.
Home ice, there you go.
Yeah, it's all right. You want to get to the NBA. Okay, the Knicks win 4-1. They won the series last night. Memphis says they're going to go into L.A. and beat LeBron James after they knocked him off last night, 116-99. That series 3-2, Lakers going back to L.A. Miami beating Milwaukee. They win that series 4-1, and then Golden State with the 3-2 series lead on Sacramento.
There was a great discussion after that one. Sports reporter asked Greek Freak, is this a disappointing season? Goes off on a tirade, but he handled himself well. That just because you lose doesn't mean it's not successful. Ask Michael Jordan. He didn't win titles in 9 of his 15 years. And I said, go ask Michael Jordan if those seasons were failures or not. But you get paid that much money and you're the number 1 seed. It is, in fact, a failure.
How many cash checks did you cash, man? It's a success.
I'll say Jimmy Butler in the playoffs for the Heat, and just we've seen it in years past. Jimmy Butler goes nuclear in the playoffs, and that's exactly what he was doing against the Bucks. The Bucks had a good defender in Drew Holiday. He's been known as a lockdown defender from point guard, just could not handle Jimmy Butler at all. And I wanted to hit on the Warriors beating Sacramento. That's huge because that game in Sacramento, Golden State has struggled so bad on the road this year. Believe they lost over 30 games on the road in the regular season and had single-digit wins. So them being able to come home to Oracle Arena, going to be big for the Warriors.
I can't contain. You can only hope to slow him down. You cannot contain him. Don't try to come in here and give me an NBA Kinder Joy sweet cream topped with cocoa wafer bites with an NBA team mascot toy inside.
Yeah, we all have
you
one.
a
We
couple
can do
more
a little
minutes on NBA talk.
We can all do a little opening party. See which toy mascot we get out of it.
All right, let's get this going. Mike, you know this is cutting into your time, though, don't you?
Uh-oh. Make it quick.
Okay, I can't get mine open. What? Okay, a toy.
Did you get a good one?
I was kidding that I had a Chicago Bull, and I got the Chicago Bull.
You got a bull in there? Which side is it on?
It's on the one with the face.
Okay, the face. Okay.
So last night I got the only one that wasn't a mascot, the Boston Celtic, who's a dude.
Oh, look at that.
I have the Hawks. I got Atlanta Hawks. Oh, nice. Me and Webby are matching.
Oh, I thought
you got the Charlotte. Can I trade you? I'll trade you.
No. So are these going to be placed in here? We can put them
Yeah,
down
we
there by
gotta put
Bucky
them
the
around
Beaver.
and then-
Okay, all right. Mike Corson talking track and field next.
Barton Community College enrollment days are back. Registration is now available for all sessions through July 26th. Make the enrollment process fun, fast, and simple. Reserve your spot to get everything set up for the fall semester in just one day. Visit with an academic and financial advisor, enroll in classes, take a tour of campus, and more. Visit enroll.bartonccc.edu to sign up.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
The Wall That Heals, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Replica and Mobile Education Center. This 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. will be at Veterans Memorial Park, Al Burns Stadium from May 11th through the 14th in Great Bend. Admission is free, 24 hours a day. This invitation proudly extended on behalf of
Scott's Welding, the 10th Street Eye Care Center, Abbey Carpet and Floor, Keller Real Estate and Insurance, and B&B Auction Company.
When you or someone you care for needs extra healthcare help at home, Golden Belt Home Health and Hospice, part of the University of Kansas Health System, is here for you. Depending on your needs, your home health team may include a nurse, therapist, and aide. They'll help with care after hospitalization, including wound care, medication management, and more. Check with your primary care provider to see if Golden Belt Home Health and Hospice can help you or your loved one.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Back on Sports Day. Okay, Mike Orson, you dove deep into these numbers. So where do you want to start first? Because you want to end with Great Bend? Kind of, you want to, what mic are you, now you're on 4. Okay, all right, okay.
No, we can talk about, so obviously state runners up in Class 5A last year. Mill Valley is the champion. They moved out of 5A, so is Great Bend the favorite to win? Only lost a little bit. But
I was actually extenuating circumstances.
Yeah, I was shocked because when I do all my rankings, I don't have time to sit there and actually look at what I'm doing. But I knew St. James Academy had a lot of names in there, so just comparing kind of what across the board, what could happen. Great Bend could come in comparable to what it scored last year, but St. James goes off the charts if things go as according to what they're doing now. Like last year, they barely scored any points in the 4, the 8, and the 16. This year, they're conceivably sitting on about 37 points, which,
right
as you
there
know,
with 3 relays.
Just 3 single events. They've got multiple girls in there. So you're hoping that not all of those girls will run those races at regionals, and they'll have to break them up because some of them are going to run on the relays also. So I kind of looked at Great Bend as the runner-up. They only beat Capon by a single point last year. Throwing in St. James because I know their rankings are that tough. Hutch moving down, I thought they would be a little better with we figure, a guaranteed 2-time state champion in the hurdles. And then I threw in Salina Central because of Caitlin Roop is the predominant favorite in at least 2 races. So my analysis shows a little bit of St. James. These teams need to close the gap, or it could be
a Hoxie.
You never know because they are going to change the lineups, but halfway through the regular season, they have the numbers kind of to run away with things.
Wow. Now, is there any way that the Lady Panthers can move their lineup around, maybe get some points in other areas?
Yeah, and so I was so shocked by the numbers, I was going to go do something else. I'm like, no, I got to get to the bottom of this. So I went back and looked at the end of last year's regular season. So it's a little better set of data because you got the 3 extra weeks in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have underestimated Great Bend by about 30% of points last year, so that's good that Great Bend went to state last year, overperformed. The kicker is you've got Taryn Warren was second place in the shot put, so there's 8 points out, and I don't think we're going to get somebody in there that can score. Riley Duvall could get in the discus, but is she going to score points? As a top 8 finisher, questionable. And her regional at May South is super tough. I think it has 6 of the top kids in 5A, and I think she's in that 6th spot. So only the top 4 advance. The hurdles, by my numbers, I have Capon and Great Bend still really close this year. So Jim Masunas brought it up the other day. With Hutch dropping down, Capon probably not going to have a hurdler in there. So the only team that's going to affect out of this group is Great Bend. Conceivably, they're losing 4 points with this Collins girl taking the top spot out of Great Bend's hands where she wasn't in our class last year. But yeah, 4x8. No, it's the 4x4. Great Bend's been the 5A leader much of the season. St. James blistering time. I think they have the state lead now. So among Capon, Great Bend, and St. James, those are the top 3 teams in 5A. 4x4 or 4x8, not far behind. St. James is ranked number 1. Capon's right up there at number 2, and Great Bend's number 3. So I think a lot of it's going to decide on how many of those kids break out into individual events and can score points versus how many relay events are those coaches going to burn the kids on. But if you're in the title lane, why would you not try to pick up the 10 points?
Okay. The odds are posted right now. So what are the odds for St. James, Great Bend, and Capon that people can place their bets at the dumpster here before the state track meet?
You got me speechless on that one.
Okay.
But yeah, neither of the teams really have a sprinter, so it's really going to be that 4, 8, 16, 32, what they turn into. Capon had the 2-time state champion javelin thrower, and she picked up a point in the 300-meter hurdles last year. And when you talk about falling to Great Bend by a single point, those are huge. That's 9 points, or 11 points. She has not thrown this year, so I don't know that they'll see her. That's a huge hit for Capon. Great Bend's high jumper, Valerie Luna's number 2 in the whole state, number 1 in 5A. But high jumping is such a finicky sport. Yeah. You can go 5-6, 3 weeks in a go, and then go 5-2 the next time. So I do have them picking up points in that event, even after their impressive finish last year. Great Bend's 4x1 team set the record last year, finished 3rd in state. That's 6 points. A little down this year, so if they lose 5 points in that race or 4, that could be significant in a tight race. And then the 300 hurdles, you have the Collins girl who's ran like the 7th fastest time in the hundreds. So she's still the state leader in the 300s, but not nearly as fast all time. But right behind her, Mackenzie Premer, Sadie Spray. So that's usually a lock on that race. It's not as finicky as the hundreds and some of the short races. So I like their chances to get more points than they did last year in that one.
Okay, area track athletes that are really putting up some great numbers right now?
Alec Carlson over at Pawnee Heights. He's long, triple, and high jump. I think you can never say a lock, but he's a clear favorite to win all 3 of those in Class 1A. Josiah Ball was the Class 3A leader in the 100-meter hurdles before last week, and then he got overtaken. And he's also going to be a contender, if not the favorite, in the 3A pole vault. Trying to think off the top of my head.
No, that's okay. That's all right. And where can people find it? I know you've got some of that on GreatBendPost.com, but where can they find some of these other deep down numbers provided by Mike Corson here during track and field season?
So just for fun, I like to see where you stack up locally, because some of like Alec Carlson, that's a 1A school, Lacrosse 1A school, they have some kids that have better times than 5A Great Bend. So on Great Bend Post, I put the top 4 in each event, and that's a nice mix of area kids. But if you go to catchitkansas.com, that's the full top 16, each event, each class, and it has a regional site in there, so you can see that, hey, I've got the number 6 kid in this event, but he's also number 5 in the regional, so it's not even a lock he's going to state.
Wow, okay. Great stuff, Mike. Mike Corson with us, our KVGB track insider. We'll get a preview of the NFL draft tonight. GM Brett Veach from his press conference earlier this week here. And also to come here on the program, baseball coach Randy Beck previewing today's Panther doubleheader with Dodge City out at the Great Bend Sports Complex.
At Next Tech Wireless, we know how important it is to stay connected. You can keep the whole family connected without breaking the bank. Now you can get up to 1, 2, 3, 4 lines for $100. And that's not all. Bring your number to us and get a $100 Visa gift card. Only at Next Tech Wireless, home on the range.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
We had a lady that was having some severe back and hip pain, and we worked with her for about 6 to 7 weeks, and we were able to actually restore greater than 80% of her mobility, and we were able to keep her from actually needing that surgery for about 4 years.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
GB Tires, the tire experts of Great Bend. GB. Generations of buyers come back time and again. GB. Out in the field, out on the road. GB Tires has the names you know. Like Bridgestone, Firestone, on GB you can depend. GB. With fast, friendly service like it's always been. Don't need an appointment, just bring it in. GB Tires, the tire experts of Great Bend.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Welcome back to Sports Day. Steve Webster with you here on this Thursday. Tonight, the NFL Draft in Kansas City is going to be a great setting in downtown downtown Kansas City, in front of Union Station, also right in front of the World War I Memorial and Museum. A lot of things going on. It'll just be a good backdrop to the draft that, well, for Kansas City Chief fans, I'll have to wait a while if the Chiefs do make a pick, or maybe they'll move up tonight. Brett Veach, general manager for the Chiefs, met with the media early this week, kind of talked about the draft, and first started off talking about the free agency and some of the pickups the Chiefs made in the offseason. Thought you'd bring you a little bit of audio from GM Brett Veach in advance of tonight's NFL draft.
Hey, Brett, can you go into the major free agents you signed and what you liked about them, how you feel like they fit here? Taylor, Menahue, Edwards, Tranquil, Richie James?
Yeah, certainly. All good players. Starting off first with Jawan Taylor, just a guy that we liked from his days in college at Florida. Really athletic player. As we all know, he played right tackle in Florida predominantly. He had some snaps at left tackle, played right tackle in the NFL, but he's a guy athletically. I mean, he's long, quick feet, really efficient pass protector, and I think it wasn't a secret that once free agency started, a tackle was at the top of that list, and, we think we have great flexibility with him. He certainly wants the opportunity to play left, but, I mean, if we were to draft a left tackle, I mean, we know what Jawan's tape looks like at right tackle there, so excited to get him. With Charles, having a roster set up where we're losing some guys at the time, and we'll see some of these guys are still out there, but like Frank and Carlos and Colin, we're a little bit depleted there on defensive line. So I think Charles was a guy that made a lot of sense for us. He can play a lot of base end on early rundowns, but I think the thing that really appealed to us was his inside pass rush ability. He's long, he's athletic, and again, we just feel like pairing him with Chris Jones inside on third downs is something that will be really beneficial for us. Then you get to Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards was a guy that we actually have a lot of familiarity with. A couple years ago, when Matt House was here, we brought him from Kentucky. He was a DC at Kentucky. He coached Mike Edwards, and since then, Matt's now down at LSU. And once we started this free agency process, we talked to Matt, and recalling his days at Kentucky, just the scheme fit here. And even though Spags doesn't run exactly what Matt did in Kentucky, there's a lot of carryover. So from an X and O standpoint, that just fit the bill with Juan leaving here and went to a third safety. Made a lot of sense. And then the last one, sometimes it's just really good value with Drew Tranquil. I don't know if we went into free agency saying linebacker was a super high priority. I think we probably focused on the O&D line predominantly. But then as free agency goes, there's always some guys that for some reason or the other are just out there and they're really good players. And we just picked up communication because Drew Tranquil actually has the same agent as Juju. So when we were trying to work through that Juju situation, once we congratulated Juju's crew and his team of agents, we were made aware that Drew Tranquil was still out there, and having had a lot of experience playing against him, knew how good he was, and a guy that can play all three positions. He can play Mike, he can wear the green dot and back up Bolton, he can play some Will, and he can play some on the line of scrimmage, great blitzer, great in pass coverage. So I think all three of those guys, four of those guys made sense for us, and I think they'll be really key additions.
What about Richie James?
Richie James too, and so again, he's got to play with Mike Kafka last year in that Dayball offense in New York. Versatile player, you can move him around a lot. Middle Tennessee State guy that we liked. Actually, I think a few years ago there was a trading deadline period when he was at the Niners. I think we actually tried to trade for him, one of those waiver wire cut day deals. But always liked the player. I think he's a versatile guy, and he also does punt returns too. And so we can take some pressure off of KT or Sky or whoever's back there. Just having another guy is something we think is a plus.
Brett, the number of people we expect or everybody expects to be here, particularly if it's good weather, 500,000, whatever it's going to be, how tough would it be to do the right football thing maybe, and that is trade out of the first round? How do you have a party and then not have the birthday cake?
I don't think it would be hard at all. I know there was a lot of joking last year about Clark saying you can't trade a pick, and listen, maybe there was some truth to it, but I think that applied more to in the off season or like last summer. I mean, we're here now, so I think a trade down is part of the draft, and it gives people more of a reason to come back on Friday and see us do even more work. But I think we're at the party now, so it's all up in the air, and I think anything's a possibility.
Right, when it comes to the draft in totality, where do you see the value pockets in this year's class?
I think it's a good defensive back class. I think there's a lot of corners. I think it's, every year you go to the combine, you have a group of guys in one, a group of guys in two, and then usually they kind of work themselves up either, higher on a tier or lower on a tier, and it seems like all those guys in that second wave of corners went to the combine and ran 4.3. The numbers were crazy. These are all big, athletic, fast corners. I think it's a really good draft in the defensive backfield. I think there's depth late in the linebacker position. Tight end class is good. So I think, it's on how you see the board, and every team will see it differently, and, I think it may be viewed to some teams as really deep, because those are like if you need a DB, I think you think it's a really good class, and if you're pretty good at that position, you might say it's a thin class. But like every year, there'll be chances and opportunities to get guys in certain different rounds that make a lot of sense and you get really good value on. So we just have to be, on point with our board like we have been in the past.
What do you make of just your wide receiver situation as it stands, and also just heading into the draft in this year's class there?
Yeah, I think it's like a lot of these positions. I think you always are looking to get more talent and get deeper. There's a lot of players we like, and certainly MVS and Sky and Tony brought Justin Watson back, Richie James. So we have really good players, and we can certainly go out there and line up and win games. But I'd say the same about the offensive line, the defensive line, and the receiver position. We're always looking to get deeper and more athletic and more talented. So, we're happy with the guys we have, but like every team in this draft, we can find ways to make our team better.
Zay Flowers being able to do the workout with Pat. Obviously, Pat's been involved in the draft in previous years to some degree. How does that come about, and what do you feel like you gained with Pat's eyes even before the draft?
I think it has more to do with the power of Pat Mahomes. These guys it's funny because these guys are working out all over the country, and I think it's no secret Pat's down there on a college campus, and he's working out with pro players from other teams. He's working out with college players. I think some high school players are there. So these good players and the agents, they know where the good players are, and they connect, and they have a workout. But I don't think it was a secret. It wasn't like it was a private indoor facility that was closed off to the public. There was I think a documentary on Patrick going on right now, so there's a lot of cameras there. But no, it was just a really good job by the agent and the player to just get in contact with those guys and get in the throwing lines. And I think it was really smart by the kid and the agent. So, but Pat has a lot of fun with that. I think it's really cool that he's welcoming to all these guys, whether it be other players from other pro teams, college guys, or even high school guys. It's pretty cool that those guys get to say that they threw Pat Mahomes.
So what's Pat's advice about him? Drafting?
He has fun with all those guys. I don't know how much you can get from a 20-minute throwing session. Look quick, was in shape, but no, he likes it. And I think there was a couple quarterbacks. I think Niners had a quarterback down there too. So, but I think with players like that, you see them work out at the pro day at the combine, and I think it speaks more about the kids just wanting to just be around great players, and so that's certainly a positive.
How do you see the right tackle position as you guys currently have it, with the candidates being Niang, Winogo, and maybe even Kennard?
Yeah, and I think that's how we see it, Pete. I think we have a lot of hopes for Lucas, and he was a guy that actually won that starting right tackle position. Then he got hurt. It's been a little bit of an uphill battle. He had a pretty bad injury there, but he has worked phenomenally to get in shape, and Rick and his staff has done a great job of continuing to get him in the right positions to go out there and be productive. And Prince is a guy that has always kind of steadily grown every year he's been here, and I think Kennard, I'm excited for him, and I think he'll have a chance to play some tackle. We certainly think he has flex, and he may end up being ultimately a better guard. He's played right tackle in the past, and he was a guy that struggled a little early on, but I think toward the end of training camp there and throughout the season, you guys probably don't get to see as much during the season, but he's, I think, grown rapidly over the last few months. And I know Coach Heck is really excited for where he is. So, and again, I think he's a guy that has flexibility, so he'll probably get reps at both guard and tackle there. But between those three guys, and we have three solid guys that can go in there and compete, and I'm sure we'll look to continue to add depth all across that offensive line.
But you have missed in previous drafts, it's safe to say that, but does that allow you not to be as conservative and possibly take some chances?
I think it's a good question. I think we'll have a list of guys that we'll feel like we want to be aggressive on, and if it works out number-wise, I think we'll sit there in 31 and we'll have a few guys, and if they're there and we think it's in range, reasonable, where we're not giving up a ton, I can't see us trading up too high in the draft or anything like that. But I mean, if there's a guy that we really like and we're in that range, and we'll sit here in the next few days here and determine what range we feel is comfortable for us. We'll sit there and potentially make that move, and we'll be content with staying there. I'm sure there'll be a good player there at 31, and then certainly be open to trading back if all those guys that we had in mind are gone. So I think we'll kind of see how it goes, and these things change so quickly and so fluidly. I mean, but I don't think we'd be opposed to being aggressive if we felt the player warranted.
Right, you mentioned Rick Burkhalter's name a second ago, and we know the NFLPA report came out. I know Coach Reed addressed it, that his name was mentioned. But also they talked about the facility. Coach talked about, well, 2031, you guys are going to be probably somewhere else. How often do you get an agent say to you when you're talking free agency, oh, my guy likes it, but your building's not good enough? Or we hear about, does that ever even come up, or is that something have you ever had an agent say, oh, I really like the building and somewhere else? I mean, is that all dollars at your level?
It's probably all dollars. I honestly, I can't sit here and say an agent ever said, could go either way, but, you guys need a new indoor. I don't think that ever happens. I think that what attracts players and agents here is coaching quarterback, and I think Arrowhead Stadium, and I think the great fans that we have. I think that agents may not see the indoor complex and may not know how to tier or stack that, but they see Arrowhead and the experience there. So I think when you have that stadium, the quarterback and the coach, I think we do okay with those kind of competitive battles.
Brett, you've got the deadline coming up on Clyde. Do you anticipate exercising that or no?
We have some time here. We'll see. I just think we'll go through the draft and we'll handle our business and just make smart decisions like we always do. I don't think we've reached a decision on anything yet, but safe to say that once we get through the draft, we'll look at our board, look at our off-season business that we have to attend to, some different players, and contract stuff, and we'll handle all that after the draft.
With everything that you've done with Spags over the past few years, now adding Joe Cullen into the mix, what are the traits that you like to see from defensive linemen, whether it's this year's class or just in general? And I guess how much is versatility high on the priority list? Yeah, the versatility is high on the list on really all across the board on both sides of the football at every position. I mean, guys, receivers that can play inside and outside, and tight ends that can be difference makers in the pass game, but also block. And as you mentioned with Steve, I mean, the intelligence factor though, and Steve. Every coach wants smart players, but I don't know if I've ever been around a coach that puts that premium at the highest level, and he wants guys that he wants to do a lot of different things, very much like coach on the offensive side. I mean, he wants to do a lot of different things. He wants to give a lot of different looks. He wants to disguise a lot of different coverages, and he wants these guys to be all on the same page and all in tune and be ready to fly and be ready to play fast. And but I mean, obviously there'd be certain traits with running his scheme and playing 4 down, being long, athletic, and what have you. But certainly just the intelligence factor is, and the standard that we set there is that makes it tricky a little bit in the draft because like Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis are great examples. I mean, those guys were great players, but those guys, I mean, could be coaches in down the line. I mean, they're so smart and they're so dedicated, but no, I mean, Steve likes guys that are tough, versatile, smart, and certainly you want to come to work.
Chiefs General Manager Brett Veach with us on Sports Day today from his press conference earlier this week. We will not have coverage of the NFL Draft tonight. That's because the Royals play at 6, but we will have Day 2 coverage tomorrow, starting around 6 o'clock. It'll be right after the Royals get done with their afternoon game in Minneapolis against the Minnesota Twins. More Sports Day coming up. Mike Corson on the prowl with Great Bend Panther baseball coach Randy Beck, right here on KVGB.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Attention Kansas high schoolers. Barton Community College wants to help you get ahead in your education and save money with new early college online savings. Starting March 20th, pay only $75 per credit hour on any Barton online course. That's a savings of up to $80. All online classes are eligible, including career technical and general education. Learn more at bartoncccc.edu/earlycollege.
If you're not filling with Cenex Premium Diesel, then you're not giving your fuel system the premium treatment. Cenex Roadmaster XL comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn, while restoring your power by up to 4.5% and your fuel economy by up to 5%. Typical number 2 diesel? I guess it covers the basics. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact American Plains Co-op in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN10 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's code ESPN10. Use code ESPN10 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Mike Corson, joined today by Panther baseball coach Randy Beck. Supposed to be an off day for you, Coach, but you got some games today.
Yeah, any good weather day is not an off day. We're to the point where we're moving games to suit the weather because this week, as you know, has not been real conducive.
And we'll talk about that a little bit. You guys were at home Monday against TMP, picked up wins of 14-1 and 4-2. You're now 10-4 overall. How big was weather a factor in that game?
Well, it was wet. There's good things and bad things about turf. Good thing is we got it in. But I've been involved in games on turf where it rains and you sit down and you go back out and warm up and you play. And then, sometimes games take 4 hours, but you get them in. Fortunately, we were able to play through all that on Tuesday. So that was definitely a positive for us. And, like I said, getting games in at this time of the year is at a high because it's hard to reschedule.
We talked to Panther softball coach Kerry Minton yesterday maybe about some of the stuff, but softball's a little bigger and slicker, and they were changing balls in and out. Did you guys have to do that, or were things getting waterlogged?
Oh, yeah. We went through a couple dozen baseballs for sure. If it had stayed on the infield, it wasn't bad, but it made it to the outfield, and it was wet. So it was definitely a challenge, defensively, especially and on the mound, just trying to get grip on the ball and be consistent with your throws.
Well, and speaking of on the mound, it's maybe not as big a deal at the high school level to have a no-hitter, especially with 3 guys, but that was Owen Kaiser, Cohen Raborti, and Hunter Herman combined 7 innings, no-hit ball. Is it always special to see a no-hitter?
Absolutely. Those guys came out. Kaiser came out, and he struggled a little bit early finding the zone, but then he made some adjustments, and he got back in, gave us, good innings. I think, what did he go, 4 or something like that? 4 or 5. Yeah, and so that was good to see from him that he can do that. Cohen came in and gave us a good inning, and then Hunter came in and shut him down. So that's always a plus, and gives everybody confidence in their abilities. And it doesn't matter the caliber of team that you play. If you have a no-hitter, that's something special.
We're talking to Panther baseball coach Randy Beck. Game 1, just 5 innings, but 14 runs on 6 hits. Can you teach the Royals how to do that? And how do you score 14 runs on 6 hits?
Well, I don't think, last I checked, I wasn't on the payroll for the Royals. But they helped us out defensively. We did a good job of putting the ball in play, and like I said, the conditions were not great. So they threw the ball around a little bit. The ball was skipping on the turf, so you had to really stay down on the ball. So we probably did a better job at that than they did, adjusting to that and just being intentional about fielding a ground ball and throwing it. The conditions made it that way. So we did a good job of that. I was proud of our kids understanding that, hey, I just can't come up and heat this thing, wildly. So they did a good job.
And lack of hits on the day, you guys normally hit the ball pretty well, but just 3 hits in game 2. Carson Umphris had single and a double for 2 of those. Is that attributed to their pitching or more rain getting in your eyes?
It's just a tough day to hit. There's rain, obviously. Everything's wet. But it's not that we didn't hit. We just hit it to them. We put the ball in play an awful lot and gave them opportunities to, maybe mess up a little bit here and there, have a few errors, and then we just kind of rolled with it.
And so weather has moved back Friday's games against Dodge City to today, this afternoon. You guys have moved up into the number 4 spot in the regional standings. If you can hold that, that's a home game for you guys. How incentivized are the guys to play these last 6 games?
Oh, yeah, they're excited. But we got to take it one game at a time. Our schedule today, we play Dodge. Those are always, difficult, and we always have good games. And then we go next week. We have the quad with McPherson, Junction City, and Salina Central, and that's going to be really good competition. And then we finish the season out against Manhattan, a doubleheader. I think that's on Wednesday, the last week of regular season, and they're really solid ball club this year.
Hard to believe we're already at the end.
I know, I agree. We're just talking about that, with a couple kids, and yeah, it's crazy how fast it goes.
Well, good luck to you guys today and next week. Thanks, Coach.
You need to get rid of the pain. You want the best. You need to see Dr. Dan Quillen at Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the field house at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Now, it looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially since you're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening that self-awareness, because sometimes you don't know what you really want until you talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Visit BetterHelp.com/score to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/score.
Now, in its second decade, it's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Hi, little Meatloaf here on a Thursday. Good stuff today on the program once again. Welcome back to the Sports Day show. Tomorrow, we finally done it, Hesh. We need to start our show 10 minutes early tomorrow.
Okay, we can do that. Operations manager, I have that say, right?
Okay.
You keep telling me that.
10 minutes early. We're going to go back to, it's going to be 12:20 or right around in there for the start tomorrow.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, when Cole was in, he was like, you guys don't start at 12:30 exactly? Because we start at 12:27, 12:31. We're all over the place.
We just got to be ready.
I
No, we just
understand.
don't, I mean, might as well go longer if we can.
If we can do it.
But we're overbooked tomorrow.
I am not the executive producer, so.
Listen. Well, when Mike Corson's out there on the prowl, he's on the prowl. So we're going to talk Great Bend Panthers swimming tomorrow with Clark Gilbert. Okay, Connor Nichols going to be on tomorrow. Paige Wagner, who Corson has wanted to get on since she's done very well at that.
National champion.
Yeah, national champion. And then who does that leave?
We got to talk about the draft? Are we going to muffle
No,
Aaron Clark tomorrow? Muzzle or whatever?
No, we can't do that.
No.
No, we can't. Oh, and Barton softball.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to get going early.
Okay.
So you brought up a good point about Royals baseball as I was going to promote them, the fact that we have them on the air tonight at 6 o'clock.
Well, you just told me, I heard your comment, they've been shut out 6 times.
Yeah.
Well, that got me to thinking. They have 6 wins. So they have been shut out as many times as they've won this year.
But isn't it easy just to jump on the Royals?
It is. They make it easy. I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, I had high hope. I won't say high hope. I had 71 wins.
What did I have, 79?
79 and 83.
Okay, and Corson had
87 and 75. I had 71. So Aaron right now is the only one that looks like he even knows what anybody's talking about.
And he predicted
56 and 106, which I think would tie their worst record ever.
Hey, 6 o'clock tonight, Royals baseball right here. It's summertime. Everybody listens to Royals.
I do like their new play-by-play guy.
It's like a pair of jeans. You got to get used to them, you know? Yeah, okay. And then tomorrow afternoon, we'll have Royals baseball starting at 2:30, followed by day 2 of the NFL draft. Hope you have a good Thursday. Back tomorrow on Sports Day.